Oh, we're just gonna go get lunch. We'll go down Kent, check out the fancy people in Williamsburg. I do have a topic for today, for this quick ride to lunch, but we'll see how quick it is because of the traffic. A lot of salt on the road. But the topic is riding in New York for beginner riders. A buddy of mine likes to say that the lines on the road on a motorcycle may be optional to you. Depends on how aggressive you want to be, right? But when you're starting out to ride and you're excited and wanting to go places as quickly as possible and fit through gaps, just consider that you don't really have that muscle memory and that experience of being able to predict what other vehicles on the road might be doing at any given time. This is true for anyone, really, even experienced motorcycle riders, but all they had done in the past is ride around the country, you know, or even riders who live in more sprawled out urban environments. New York City is very dense, and it's a very unique place to ride because of that density. But like anything, things are relatively predictable, and in a dense environment like this, you may want to give yourself more time to read the situation. What I mean about this is you don't really want to go so fast. The speed limit in New York is 25. It used to be 30 probably 10 years ago, maybe longer. But when it comes to operating safely here, it is a good reference speed. And everyone who lives and works in New York, including most motorists, not all, but most of them, typically operate at these speeds. So if you come into the city and you're expecting to blast down the avenue at 50 mile an hour or whatever, you're not going to have a good experience, because you're riding beyond the pace, and you're introducing a lot of risk to your riding, because no one else is moving at that pace. Not the cars, not the pedestrians, no one's moving at that pace. Save that shit for the highway. If you want to go fast, go fast on the highway. That's the environment to do so. But here, no one is expecting you to come out of nowhere doing 50, 60 mile an hour down these roads. You have less opportunity to react. If this guy braked in front of me and I'm going fast and decided to go this way, you know, I might run into these pedestrians. They didn't expect me to cut through. Hopefully they're street smart, but you know, they don't really, they're not really looking, they're not paying attention. The second thing about riding in New York is that it is certainly a disadvantage if you ride angry. And I mean, if you ride like you're expecting someone to be able to move at the pace of a motorcycle, right? This is a big bicycle with an engine. It has these tendencies to want to keep moving forward, and you don't feel good when you're stopped. You don't feel safe either, right? There's a safety thing. You want to keep moving forward, keep an eye on what's going on behind you. That said, you can get angry by people who don't see you because you're in their blind spot, or they're in a car and you're on a motorcycle and they will muscle you into position wherever they're trying to do. You just have to understand they don't care. No one gives a shit about your vulnerability. Your vulnerability on a motorcycle is solely reliant on you keeping track of that vulnerability and you making good risk assessments and decisions as you operate. So be very, very wary about getting angry at people not giving a fuck about you on your motorcycle. Not only did you miss the point, you also introduce more risk, right? You're angry, you want to get somewhere fast, you're like, fuck this guy, and you make mistakes. You lose your concentration on predicting what's going on in front of you. Intersections. So I might be riding within the rules of the road, but other people in this city don't, man. They'll do lefts on red, rights on red. They'll just blast through the red. They don't give a fuck. Pedestrians, they don't care either. Jaywalking is legal in New York. And even before it was legal, it was non-enforced. You could jaywalk and do dangerous shit in front of the cop. They don't give a fuck. So when it comes to like going through intersections in the city, it behooves you to be suspicious of them. They look clear and the light is green and you have the right of way, but someone else doesn't give a fuck, right? And you just have to expect that there's going to be some idiot that's going to cross while looking down on their phone, and there's going to be an accident, and maybe you'll survive, but they might be damaged, and now you got all this fucking legal work and insurance, perhaps an investigation. You know, why deal with it to save 2 extra minutes? It's just not worth it. It's not worth anything. Where do I turn? I forget where I turned to get to this place. I think it's the next block, maybe. This is LIC. Oh, this Jeep is the zombie hunter. It got a fucking katana on its hood. Look at that shit. Dude's not fucking around. I wonder if that's a real sword. I could actually grab it. Too bad it's on the throttle side. I think we're on 47th is where we're going. So yeah, we spoke about speeding, we spoke about people like this who are going the wrong way, down blocks, intersections. We're gonna pull over here for the food, but maybe when we return we talk about some other things about riding in New York. I was correct, this is the right block. Can I actually put it here today? I can, sick. That's beautiful. Usually I have to park my bike down the street. Now I can just park it right here. Can she lock this guy a little bit? Close the mirrors. Let's go get some lunch at this Vietnamese joint. Today we're riding bikes. I don't know if I'm gonna make this into a new video or whatever, so today we're riding bikes. We're in LIC. We just got Vietnamese beef noodle soup at Cyclo, just behind me. I appreciate the staff there. They were very concerned for me and asking me questions about whether I'm cold or not. And I was like, no, you gotta dress warm. I like to mention there's a reason why I haven't been posting that much, and it's because like my GoPro setup is messed up. The USB-C port on the GoPro is loose, and there is no getting in there and fixing it or whatever. I have to get a new GoPro, and I've just been delaying the inevitable. So yeah, it's annoying because I record a lot of really cool videos because I use it as a dash cam, only to find out that none of the audio got in. And when it comes to video production, if you don't already know, audio is actually more important than the video. You can watch garbage video with really good audio and sit through it and enjoy the content, you know, as long as the content is good. But you can't do the opposite. You can't watch really good cinema quality video, UHD, 4K, 8K, whatever the fuck, with garbage audio. You literally can't sit through it. So when it comes to video, audio is key, not the video part. Why do you think podcasts are so popular? As I was riding over to the restaurant, we were talking about riding in New York. If you're considering it because you're a new rider, maybe you already have some experience, maybe you're moving to New York from somewhere else, and you're debating whether you should entertain a motorcycle here. And we spoke about like the density of the city, like because it's so dense, you don't want to be going so fast, you won't be able to predict what's about to happen in front of you. The way drivers behave here is very different than anywhere else for the most part. Most people in the city, in my opinion, tend to drive offensively, and that's just how it is here, you know. So you gotta keep that in mind. And then no one cares about you on your motorcycle. You do not matter. So they will push you if they want to get into a position on the road and you're in their way. They will not give a shit about you, and they don't care that they're endangering your life, right? It doesn't matter. They don't compute this. And the other point is that it's okay to be angry about it, but it's also a waste of time and energy and concentration to let road rage cloud your judgment while you're riding, right? There are a couple of examples I want to talk about that I've seen online. The first one was this guy who was posting on the R Motorcycle subreddit. Basically, his post was very inflammatory. It's like, people in New York don't know how to drive. But when you look at his video, he's literally putting himself into the dangerous positions of like purposefully cutting people off, diving into an intersection while it's red, so on and so forth. Testament to the drivers on the road, no one actually hit him. They all avoided him and were like confused as to why he's being so stupid. So there's this type of content online, you know, people who are making, in my opinion, poor decisions while they're riding, and then blaming someone else for their inability to protect themselves, right, and ride smartly and ride safely. And they're pointing the finger at someone other than them for something that they could have avoided. On the rare occasion, the rider admits that, yes, I shouldn't have been going that fast, or I shouldn't have predicted that turn better, or I got target fixated, or I didn't know that pedestrian was going to be there, whatever. You know, there are people who own up to these problems and these rider errors that they committed, but for the most part, what I see online, it's a little bit hit or miss here, you know. So if you see people kind of throwing a fit, fucking rev bombing because some asshole cut them off, just notice that they're probably in their blind spot. This rider wasn't really being defensive enough when they were making their move, and they made a mistake, you know. In my opinion, and this is a big opinion, anything that happens to him on this motorcycle is my fault, right? Because I just assume that I will put myself in the situation of getting hit, you know, washing out the bike in a turn. Like, I put myself in that situation, and there are reasons why that situation occurred. I was tired, I wasn't focusing, I was distracted, I target fixated, I was angry. I was angry about something that happened, either on the road or in my personal life. It's incredible what a perspective like that can do for you, and I think it's very important to make a personal perspective like that happen. Whatever makes sense for you, you know, whatever makes sense for you. We're just gonna check out 44th Drive while we're here. It's a very quiet day in the city. We got my man Seagull. Seagull. Is that a seagull? I don't know what kind of seabird that is. Sometimes they're not seagulls, you know? It's a gull, probably. Some type of gull. We got the 59th Street Bridge. We got kind of like the Midtown area here. We got the Chrysler building on the distance, the big greenish glass building with the satellite dish. That's the UN building. And this middle area here, that's Roosevelt Island. That's a water taxi. We can see the Freedom Tower, or the World Trade Center, whatever they're calling it these days. And yeah, East River. It is of greenish hue today. Doesn't look too crazy. This building has been here, kind of like burnt out and dilapidated, ever since I started coming here for like years. And I'm surprised that no one has bought it yet to rebuild or do something with it. This is a pretty cool space. It's like a bar. Surprisingly, it has like gears and motorcycle parts, or I guess bike parts, on the mural here above it. And you come here on your motorcycle when you want to feel cool and have a cold one, but just one of them. Don't binge drink and drive, obviously. Okay, back to riding. Maybe we get some coffee. I don't know. I think I get some coffee. I hope we're recording good audio, because I feel like my rant today is more on point than my usual rants. So yeah, don't blame other people for your fuckery, and don't get angry on your motorcycle, especially riding here. Everything will anger you here. It's fucking New York, you know? Everything gotta move quick, gotta hustle, you know? So when you ride on your bike, you also have this mentality. You gotta hustle, move quick, whatever. Don't let it get the better of you. What else can we talk about while we go get coffee at the coffee spot? We'll see if it's open. I think a big driver of consideration getting a bike here is two other things. These are just like the business and the lifestyle things of riding a motorcycle, the financial aspect of it, and also the theft aspect of it, like, and parking. Like, where do I keep it? How do I ensure that it doesn't get taken from my cold dead fingers? And how much does it cost? How much does it cost? I don't know if I can devote this entire ride, because it's very short, to talk about this topic. So maybe we'll pull in, we'll get some coffee, and then on the ride back we'll really dive into it. Look at me, I got an engine. Pull ourselves up here, get some cafe. Boop. And we'll be back, folks. We'll be back. And we're back to riding bikes in LIC, going back to Brooklyn. We're about to talk about finance and theft and those types of fun topics. If you're considering to get a motorcycle and operate it here in the city, New York City. So let's get the easy stuff out of the way, the finance stuff. Aside from the cost of the motorcycle, and it is also dependent on the type of motorcycle you get, right? If it's under or over 1,000 cc, and the type of bike it is. I don't know how sophisticated these insurance companies are. If I were in their business, I'd be very sophisticated. So yeah, like, the first quote I got for this motorcycle when I got it, and that's a new rider who had no previous vehicle ownership and had no prior accidents, no moving violations, for a Street Triple RS, which is a 765cc motorcycle that has 120 horsepower, give or take. Okay, Prius, wow, double illegal U-turn. I'm gonna predict that he's gonna want to go. Geico wanted $3,200 a year for comprehensive insurance. So that's the basic stuff that you need legally here in New York State, New York City, plus you know, your bike got stolen type insurance. $3,200 a year. So I went and I got the basic stuff, which was $700 a year. And then a couple of months later, I switched to Allstate, which gave me comprehensive and even better deal than Geico for $1,600 a year. Results may vary, right? Again, I had no moving violations, no issues whatsoever with the law up until that point, no accidents. I had a very clean record, and I've been driving for like 20 years, give or take. I never had a vehicle before, right? I never registered a car to my name, believe it or not, because I'm a city boy, you know, fucking from New York. So I felt like that's a good deal, right? Some other people I know, they register their bikes to their upstate property or out of state, pay a little bit less. So, you know, again, results may vary. What else is there? financially. Parking, and this bridges the gap with the theft aspect, right? I never park my bike on the street overnight. I bought into a garage where I park my bike, and when I go to ride, I go to the garage, I pick up the bike, and I ride, right? And when I'm done, I return the bike to the garage. And in most situations when I'm doing some extended travel in the city, let's say I need to ride my bike to work, which is on 36th Street, I'm not going to leave my bike on the street because it's going to get taken. Instead, I pay $50 to put it in a garage that accepts motorcycles near my workplace. So, parking in New York is a mixed bag. It depends where you live or how close you want your bike to be to you. Depends how close you want your bike to be to you. I don't need it to be so close. It's actually on my subway commute to and from work, so it's accessible if I want to take it out for a ride when I'm coming back or if I'm heading to work. And it makes a lot of sense for me. But you could typically pay between $200 if you're super lucky to $500 a month to store your bicycle, your motorcycle. And most garages don't give a fuck if it's taken like a quarter of the space of a car. You pay the same amount for the spot. So that's also something to consider. You might get lucky. You might have someone living nearby who has a garage and they'll rent a space for your motorcycle for less than that. A friend of mine has that kind of situation going for him. He's able to park 2 bikes in kind of half a spot, and he pays a lot less than $200 a month for that, and he's lucky. But parking in New York City is kind of like a commodity. If you wanted to buy a parking spot, like you're shopping properties and stuff, you're not going to rent a parking spot. Like, you're paying upwards of 100 G's for that parking spot, depending on where you are, especially in Manhattan. Right, so that's the cost of parking in New York. It's very expensive. It's basically like paying a storage cost, right, for your vehicle. And if you're lucky, you have on-prem parking, but most of us aren't, and we have to park elsewhere. So you want to park your bike in a garage, long story short, so your bike does not get thieved from your parking spot. There's also something to say that, you know, this is the East Coast. It rains, it snows, it storms. If you have the opportunity, aside from just theft, to not subject your bike to all that inclement weather, it's going to be better for your motorcycle to not have to deal with it, right? Salt's a bitch. And on the topic of theft itself, certain bikes are more sought after than others, but in general, if you have a nice bike, it's gonna get taken, and it can get taken in less than an hour, or you could park it on the street for years, and one day it finally disappears. And the cops don't really care, but the community here is actually pretty active. If you kind of put out an alert that your bike was stolen, people will post on social and whatever, but you're most likely not getting it back. So we'll talk about the insurance part again. If you're parking challenged and you can't pay like $2 grand a year to park, you might as well pay upwards of $2 grand a year on like insurance that covers theft, because at least you're not empty-handed at the end of the day. And you could do some other things like put a GPS on your bike, right? There are a couple of different models of GPS you can get. I would look at the marine GPSs, are a little bit more reliable, like for jet skis and stuff. But you basically, you know, it's part of doing business. If you want to like ride a motorcycle in the city and you don't want to worry about it and keep it in the back of your head, then you got to get a parking spot for it. And then if you're lucky and you have the means for it, you should also get comprehensive insurance for it, because then you don't have to worry, right? If your bike gets stolen, you know, it is what it is. Like, you tried your best, but at least you're not going to be left empty-handed. Anything else to mention? See, I could have pushed this guy, but he's knew I wouldn't mess with him. I can call him a son of a banana or potato head, something like that. Whatever Duck NYC typically says. You got it, bro. There's nothing much else to say about riding, you know. Ride defensively. It's always going to be your fault, even if it isn't. No one cares about you. It's god awfully expensive, but it's 110% worth it. I don't think there's anything that would prevent me from riding my bike other than falling hard on financial times, I guess, but it's totally worth it. It's a freedom that you can't replicate anywhere else. Maybe in my next video I can do something like talking through like some of the things I'm observing as I ride through the city, kind of give you an idea of the type of like looking ahead, looking forward, predictive analysis that happens in my brain all the time. It might be helpful for some riders that aren't used to riding in such a dense area to, you know, pick up on some of that experience. What it's like, what's going through your head. What are my eyes looking at? Because although the GoPro doesn't seem like my head turns, I'm looking everywhere all the time. Oh, that's it. That's all I got for y'all. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.